Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing? I hope everyone is doing well. So today is January 1st, 2025. So it is the beginning of what I feel is going to be an amazing year for each and every one of us. So we have to manifest that. That is what we have to do. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the law of attraction or manifestation, but it's a very, very, very simple thing. We speak into existence um, the things that happen in our lives. And you can speak positive things into your life, or you can speak negative things. Um, but if you do speak positive things will come to you. Um, so you just need to manifest what it is that, what outcome it is that you're expecting. You need to manifest that. You need to say, like, for example, for myself, I'm just starting with this podcast. So my manifestation is my podcast is successful. My podcast is reaching people. I am able to help people. So I have to manifest. That's what I'm manifesting for 2025. So I want to encourage you to get into the habit of speaking positive things into your life and watch how things change. Last night, me and my sister and my niece, we went out for the holiday for New Year's Eve. And then after we got home, I realized I didn't have my phone and I couldn't find it. And we drove to the place we were going to, but then we took Uber to get back home. And we actually took two Ubers because we went to Waffle House to eat, and then we took another Uber to get home. So I wasn't sure if I had lost my phone in one of the Ubers or what had happened. And I was so tired, so I just ended up going to sleep. Then I got up and I looked again to see if I could find my phone. I couldn't find it. And then I said, okay, my phone is in my sister's car. It's in Missy's car, and it is not lost. It is found. And that is what happened. The phone was in her car. So I was really happy because I was like, I'm not going to worry about it. It's there. And because my niece had to take my sister to get her car today. So when she came back, she had my phone. So I was really glad. But just get into the habit of doing that, speaking positive things into your life. Even if there's negativity around you, if negative things are happening, just turn that around and say, nope, I'm not accepting this. This is going to turn out for my greater good. There's a lesson to be learned here, and something good is going to come out of this. So you always want to try to be positive and always be grateful. That's another important thing, is to always be grateful, and just make that a practice. So now that I'm done talking about that, my topic for today is religious trauma. And I was talking to my brother about this idea, and I said, it's the first of the year. I don't really want to be negative or telling sad stories or anything like that. And he said, well, you can definitely add humor to it. And I was like, oh, yeah, for sure. Because some of it is funny. Now, when I say religious trauma, there are certain religions that people are a part of, like probably raised that way. They just come up in a religion, no matter which one it is. I'm not going to name any specific ones except for the one that I was raised in, because that's what I can speak on. And they end up being taught things that may or may not necessarily be true, or it might affect your decision making in your life and things that you do and how you see things. So that is what I mean by religious trauma. And as I get into more of the story, then I think you'll understand, because I know I'm not the only one. I know there's a lot of people who have gone through this, so that's why I want to talk about it. So my parents, when they, and I said in my first video that they are originally from upstate New York. They ended up moving to Louisville, Kentucky. I think it was in 1968 when they moved to Kentucky, and that's where I was born and raised. So I had two older siblings that were actually born in New York, and then the rest of us, the three younger ones, we were all born here in Kentucky. So neither one of them were really actively involved in any sort of religion before they moved here. And somehow or another, they ended up becoming, first they started going to a Baptist church, and then my dad met someone at his work that was a preacher, and so they became friends, and he was a Pentecostal preacher. And so he started talking to my dad about the Pentecostal faith and what they believe and all of that. So my parents started to go to the Pentecostal church, and that's what we were raised in. Now there's a lot of varieties of this denomination, just like any others. Some are more strict than others, and some have different rules than others. But basically, one of the things that is pretty common with Pentecostal is that the women are not allowed to wear pants or shorts. They can only wear dresses. They're not allowed to cut their hair. They have to wear long sleeves, things like that. So that's a big part of the religion, but we were very fortunate that our parents did not enforce that on us. We were not required to wear dresses all the time. We were required to wear them to church, but we weren't required to wear them, on a daily basis or anything like that for the girls. And I guess my parents were I would consider them, they were pretty liberal. They didn't necessarily fall into all of the things that this religion, that it was teaching. So they weren't super strict on us. We had rules just like any other household, but they trusted us as long as we showed them that they could trust us. So that part was really quite a relief, because I have seen what I saw the most happen in the Pentecostal faith is with children once they become teenagers and their parents are forcing them to go to church. They're forcing them to go, like usually they have a lot of church in Pentecostal faith. You're going on Sunday morning, you're going on Sunday night. We had services on Saturday nights, and then we also had a Wednesday night service. So we were always at church. But when we became of an age where we could make that decision for ourselves, my parents did not force us to go. So, but I know that some children are forced to go, and then they're forced to dress in a certain way, and they start to rebel because they want to express themselves in their own way. They want to be able to dress how they, whatever it is that they are into, whatever fashion they like, and they can't because their parents won't let them. So then they become very rebellious, and a lot of them will end up, once they become adults, they just kind of go buck wild. They just go way out there, the other opposite complete direction of where their parents were trying to lead them, because they have missed out. That's what they feel like. I've missed out on so much of life because I had to I had to be under these strict rules. And so now that I'm an adult and I'm on my own, I'm going to live my life. So that happens a lot. So with us, it was a matter of some of the things that we were taught, such as we were taught, and this is in a lot of religions, not just Pentecostal, but we were taught that sex before marriage was a sin. So that was a big one. We were preached to about that all the time. All the time. That was a big one. And so that when we got, when us kids got older and we became teenagers, we started dating and things like that. That was always in the back of our minds. But, when you're a teenager, it is what it is. You have hormones, things happen, and it's just how it is. And quite normal for most people, when they reach a certain age, they start having those, desires or whatever. And one thing that happened to me is, I had I had a guy that I was with, and we ended up getting married and having my daughter. We got divorced when she was young. That's another story that I will definitely be telling. But we dated through, I think it was the summer before my junior year. We didn't go to the same high school. He was a friend of my brother's. I always had crushes on all my brother's friends, but he was a friend of my brother's, and that's how we met. Anyway, he went to a different school. So but we started dating the summer before junior year of high school. So we dated junior, senior year, and then after that. And of course, after we had been dating for a certain period of time, we started to, have sex. And somehow, some way, I don't know, my parents found out and they flipped out. They just flipped out about it, and they grounded me and told me I couldn't see him anymore. So of course, that was very hard. That was, not easy at all. But of course, we still saw each other. We just snuck and saw each other, and but then they ended up lifting that restriction at some point in time. But they acted like it was something that they were just so surprised by. And I thought, you guys got married when you were 15 and 17. You all were teenagers when you got married. And, so I'm sure you were having sex. But, because things change from generation to generation, people don't get married that young anymore. And I know it was commonplace during their time, but it's really not, that's really not a wise thing to do. It's not a prudent, it's just not wise to get married so young. And of course, the millennials have really kind of broken that generational curse is how I see it, because they are in the habit of getting married later in life, after they've finished their college careers and they've gotten their jobs and all of that. So they do wait to get married. Unlike our generation and I'm Generation X, and the generations before us, we got married young. And that was another thing that was, that's what our family did. I have 5 siblings, and my oldest brother, when he turned 18, so the rule in our house is that you either went to college, or once you turned 18, you either went to college, you could stay if you were going to college, but if not, you had to move out. So my oldest brother, was the first one to move out, of course, because he was the oldest, and he moved to Texas. And he was carpenter. He was building houses in Texas, and that's where he met his wife. And they married. I think my brother was probably maybe 19 when he got married. Then my older sister, as soon as she turned 18, she turned 18, and then I think the next week after that, she got married, and and so on and so on. I got married at 19. So you were kind of pressured into it, because you felt like that if you didn't get married, then you were going to be living in sin. So we felt pressured to get married. And our marriage didn't last. We ended up getting divorced about 3 years after we got married and whatnot. But I also had sometimes decisions that I made in the name of religion that just were the wrong decision for me. And I ended up, I've been married 3 times. And my second time I got married, this man was my sister-in-law's brother. So yeah, and he had just got out of prison. Okay, I was young, don't judge. Young and dumb. And I had been single for quite a long time too. And so we ended up getting together, and he was just in the beginning, he was one of those charmers. One of those guys that knows how to charm women. But, before I was old enough to know better, I was, under the spell of his charm, and he would be at my house waiting for me when I got off work every day, because he wanted to hang out, he wanted to see me, and then he just slowly was kind of just moving in. We never had a discussion to say, okay, you can move in with me. That wasn't what happened. He just kind of slowly started bringing stuff, and then I was feeling so pressured because of the whole, oh, we're living in sin, oh, we can't be living together because we're not married. And so I was like, you have to sleep on the couch. And I did. I made him sleep on the couch. And then Oh my God, it's just so much. When my parents found out he was living there, oh, they were so upset. They didn't like it, and they let us know how they felt. And so, again, pressure. We felt pressured because he had started going to church with me, and he liked going to church. He liked the church and everything. So he was trying to. It didn't end up that way, but he was trying to do right when we first got married. We were only married for a year, by the way. That's, I can continue with this story, but yeah. So so we got married because we felt pressured to do so, because my parents were so upset that we were living in sin, and they didn't want us to go to hell. That was the other thing that we were told a lot. We was told a lot that we didn't have to worry about like a post-secondary education. We didn't have to worry about going to college because Jesus was coming back. We heard that Jesus was coming back our whole entire lives. And we were just like, oh, he's going to come back and we're going to be taken out of this world, and we're going to live in happiness and peace and for eternity. And so you don't have to worry about going to college. And some of the girls in the church were actually told, we weren't, thank God, but some of the girls were told, like, you don't need to worry about getting an education because you're going to get married and you're going to have babies and you're going to be a stay-at-home mom, and that's your calling in life, is to stay home and take care of kids. So therefore you don't need to worry about educating yourself or providing for yourself. And of course, for myself, I ended up a single mom when my daughter was 6 months old. Okay. And I worked. I always worked. I was never a stay-at-home mom. And so I was able to stand on my own 2 feet after some time. I had to move back in with my parents for a while and all of that, but I finally, was able to get out on my own again and support myself. But my point is that this assumption that everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows, and you're just going to grow up, you're going to get married, and everything's going to be perfect, and you don't have to worry about anything, and your husband will provide for you. And no, none of us are guaranteed anything in life. We never know what's going to happen. We never know what we're going to face. And so it's like, don't tell people that. It's dangerous, So there was just a lot of pressure, and my poor sister, she got stuck. I ended up departing ways from the religion. I was an adult when I did, but I started to realize that this just wasn't right. What I had been taught wasn't right, and I needed to break away. And my belief, and this is just my personal belief, I'm just not a believer in organized religion at all. I think a religion is man-made. I don't think it's what God's plan was for us, and I don't believe in organized religion. So therefore, I do not go to church. I am a spiritual person, and I can go a lot deeper into that, but that's not what this episode is about. So I'm not going to do that right now, but I don't go to church. And so my sister had married young too. My younger sister, my baby sister, she had married very young, right out of high school. And the guy that she was married to, he was an abuser. And they had had some really, really, really hard times. She stayed married to this man for 27 years. And she stayed married to him for several reasons. And one of them was because they had 3 children. She had a child with some very, very major health complications, had to be taken to Baltimore, to Johns Hopkins Hospital for several surgeries and things like that. So yeah, she was a stay-at-home mom, and she really had to be there when he was the youngest. And after he was born, her job 24/7 was him, and it was years and years of different things that this poor kid had to go through, and she had to be there, So she was stuck in this marriage because he was the provider. He worked and he paid the bills, and and she was taking care of the kids. And like I said, she had one that was, had some pretty major health issues that he was born with. So she got stuck in this marriage. And then after the kids got a little older, she went to nursing school. She got her nursing degree, became an RN, but she actually ended up divorcing him before she even finished nursing school. But she believed a lot of what she was told growing up, and how she was told to deal with this man and his narcissistic, abusive, and philandering ways. And that, she was to pray for him, and she was to keep her mouth shut, and blah, 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 blah. She really felt pressured, like, oh, I can't get a divorce because that would be a sin. I can't get a divorce. And, it was awful. It was. But she is much better now. Her and I actually share a house. We are older now. We're both in our 50s, and we just really enjoy life is what we do. Our kids are grown. We travel a lot, and we plan get-togethers with the family at our house because we got a pretty big house, and so it's a good gathering space. But we really do enjoy our lives. But the whole thing with religious trauma, though, is basically that, it doesn't matter what the religion is. If something doesn't feel right, you listen to your instincts, listen to your gut, listen to your intuition. And, us women, we all have that intuition. And whether we listen to it or not, that's up to us. But if something is telling you that something's not right, then listen to that. Do your own research and do your own, just examining, like, is this really what I want for my life? Or is what I'm being taught really accurate? Just question it. It's okay to question it, because the people who teach us in religion, these pastors and these leaders and these preachers and rabbis, priests, whatever you want to call them, they're human beings. And I know that in a lot of religions, the leaders are actually educated. They get their theology degrees. They actually do some, and I have taken some theology classes, which I actually loved and learned a lot in those classes too. I had a really amazing theology professor. That wasn't my major, but I did take some theology classes that went along with the degree I was getting because I went to a Christian college. But anyway, I did learn a lot. But a lot of people that are in the ministry are, that is their profession, but in the Pentecostal faith, there's really no requirements. You just have to, I guess, just get yourself ordained, and you can just pick up a Bible and get up in the pulpit and just start preaching. There's not really any requirements for that. So you have to kind of look at it as, okay, is this person that is teaching me what they think I'm supposed to learn? They tell you that it's inspired by God, but how can you determine that? Really, how can you determine that? Is it really inspired by God, or is it your own thoughts and your own feelings about things? And when it comes to the Bible, like, everybody interprets it a different way, and that's the other thing. They say it's the inerrant word of God. Well, the Bible has been, translated how many times, and it has been rewritten, and it is not. There is so much missing from it. So much of the story that we were not told, and some of the things that I'm finding out are quite interesting, because it's like, why does Jesus disappear at 12 and we don't see him again until he's 33? Why is that? Why? What did he do all those years? And I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to upset people, but I've recently discovered that Jesus was married. He was married to Mary Magdalene, and they had 2 children. All of that's left out. That's my point, though. There's a lot that's left out, and the people who decided what was going to go into the Bible, they chose what they wanted to go in and what they wanted to leave out, and so we're missing a lot of the story, y'all. And so, religion was used when this country was founded as a way to control people, and so they say that this is a Christian nation, and it's, I'm not a big fan of Christianity in no way, shape, or form whatsoever. I mean, I was raised in it, so I can probably quote you so many scriptures, and there are some scriptures and Bible verses that I hold near and dear to my heart, that that are some of my favorites and are very inspiring, comforting, and bring me joy. But, you know, I I also know that religion has been used for nefarious purposes for many, many years. And there was like a movie, if you haven't seen it, it's an old movie, and Bill Maher, it's more like kind of like a documentary kind of movie, but it's called Religious. And Bill Maher, I don't know if you all know who he is, but he's, you know, he's like a political analyst, and he just, I just really like him. And but this movie is all about, he kind of delves into various religions and talks about what effect it's had on our world, and how wars have been started in the name of religion, and things like that. So it's a really interesting movie to see. And there's another movie that Chris Rock did, a documentary called Good Hair, and he talked a lot about the I guess the hair that women use to get, if they want to get their extensions and things like that, and where that hair comes from, and the obsession with it. And one part of the movie that really stuck with me is some of the hair that's the favorite to be used. I believe it's Indian women's hair. And they would tell these women that they needed to shave their heads in honor of Buddha, and it was a part of the, I don't know all the details, but it was basically, they were told this is part of it was part of like a religious practice that they would just do to shave their heads. And they took their hair and they sold it to America, is what they did with it. And it was for profit, is what it was for. It wasn't to save these women or to help enhance their lives spiritually. It was for profit. And that's a lot of the basis of religion too, and religious organizations and denominations, and for profit. And it's all about the almighty dollar. And that's another part that I have a really hard time with. So yeah, but I just wanted to talk about this for a little bit and just say that this is my second episode that I recorded, and I really want to boost the podcast and get it out there. So I really, really appreciate, I post it on YouTube and on Spotify. So if you can give me a like, if you can give me a follow and a comment, that would really, really be so helpful. And I would really appreciate it, because I really do want I would really like some feedback on your experiences, or feedback on other things that you'd like for me to talk about, because that's important as well. Because there's so much that I can talk about. Trust me, I've lived a very interesting life, and I've had a lot of experiences and things happen, good and bad, and I have a lot to offer, and I want to be a help to people. But the religious trauma, it's a pretty major one that I think a lot of people go through. So if that is something that you have gone through, then let me know in the comments. And if you even want to join me on the podcast and we can talk about it, that would be amazing. I would love that. So yeah, but just please give me a like and give me a follow. Share it out if you can. Tell your friends about it, and we'll just see where this goes. I'm manifesting that it's going to be amazing. That's what I'm manifesting. And I also have plans of writing a book too. So that's going to be my next project. And it's going to be a book about my life. But you all will all have a lot of the previews to what's going to be in the book, because I'm going to be talking about it on the podcast. So anyway, I'm so happy to see 2025. And I really feel like it's going to be a great year. I'm manifesting that it's going to be a great year. We've had a wild end to 2024, just wild. And I just, I'm on TikTok a lot, and I see a lot of videos on there, and that community is amazing. The community of people that I follow and that I interact with on there, I really love it. But one thing I always say is, this is gonna be the best season finale to this reality show. And I'm like, this reality show is the craziest one I've ever seen. It is like watching a bad reality show. It really is. It's something new every single day. We got all this stuff happening. We have UFOs and we have orbs and we have all of the things going on with the. I'm loving the revolutions that are happening in these different countries and people standing up for their beliefs and for their rights as citizens in their countries. I'm loving that. That's amazing because Pluto is in Aquarius and it is the time of revolution. And we have seen it happen before our very eyes because I say, man, when Pluto went into Aquarius, it was not playing around. It came in like a wrecking ball. And there's just so much happening. And some of it's concerning, but it's leading to bigger and better things. Trust me on that. And that's what I'm excited about because it is. It's leading to bigger and better things. So, anywho, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up for today. And I hope everyone has a great day. And no matter when it is that you find this and you're listening to it, I hope you're doing well. And I hope you have an amazing 2025. And I will definitely be back. Bye.